It's another amazing day in 2022. Is it not? Are you amazed? Yes. Let's start with the easiest thing. Let's just be happy we're on this side of the grass, right? That's important. This side of the grass. Okay. It's all great. Gives us a chance to do what we came to do, etc., etc. We want to start out. We want to keep growing. 2022 is going to be an amazing year. If you listen to the astrologers, if you've been on Kabbalah.com and listen, it's both. Like we'll get a little bit today. It's both scary, but it's also encouraging. Because you and I have learned, as Karen's book that we used to read from, which we'll get back to at some point, light only comes out of the darkness. So the scarier it's getting out there, you and I are learning and have the ability to take the light from that darkness. That's the real key. That's what we're looking for, right? How to get light. Do you not want more light? More peace, love, protection, health, prosperity, all those good things, spiritual guidance, knowing which are the right decisions to make? Okay, let's go on, because I would like to finish a little early today and do a meditation that we haven't done in a while. So we'll just cut right to the chase. Here we are for our friends online. For those of you here, it's on the screen. We're going to say our affirmation, and keep in mind the reason we're doing this and the purpose, to engrave in our mind. Let's put it two ways. You put a hole in the wall. One, you have to patch it up, and then you have to fix it so it looks like it was original, yes? So this affirmation is for us also to repair the mistakes we've made, the lies that we've believed from the opponent, all the illusion we've fallen into, and repair, meaning go back to the original pure and perfect light being that the Creator gave us, and a mind of that consciousness. So let me get it here. Okay. Together. Consciousness is everything. I raise my consciousness today to see the miracles and wonders of life. I commit myself to behave with greater love, compassion, and kindness towards all human beings. The all is always the sticky part, isn't it? Because I know some of us, I can hear the opponent going, everybody except that one, right? Yes, all the people out there, but this particular person that I've had some interaction with. Nope, we want to repair ourselves the same way the Creator just sends light to everybody no matter what. We want to do the same thing. Okay, so let's get started. What I wanted to speak about this morning is the idea of controlling our destiny. You know, some people, in fact, I took it off the internet. And I'm sorry, those of you who are online, thank you for joining us. I know some of you are up at maybe 5 or 6 in the morning, and some of you are staying up 11, 12, midnight, in the evening. We have it easy. It's 11 o'clock here for us. So I want to thank you for that. Also remind you, if you have not liked this page, please do so, because it automatically draws more people to have access to and to be, what do they call it? Just, shown when they're searching something to find the Spiritual Sunday Facebook page. Okay, so here's what they tell us psychologically. You ready? What causes adult behavior? Usually. So the big thing is when there's some kind of problem, somebody gets caught doing something horrendous, and they say, well, what was it? Was it nature or was it nurture? Right? And it becomes a big thing psychologically. So this is what they tell us. Nature is what we think of as pre-wiring and is influenced by genetic inheritance and other biological factors. Nurture is generally taken as the influence of external factors after conception. For example, the product of exposure, life experiences, and learning on an individual. So now, something that's very important for us to keep in mind, because we still connect ourselves partially, but in a very strong way, to the physical five-sense world, which the Kabbalists call the world of illusion, meaning not that it doesn't exist. If you're new and you're listening, the world of illusion doesn't mean, we really don't exist and things don't happen. No, the illusion is, in the simple terms that we've often spoke about, when life throws you a lemon, the illusion part is one person will make lemonade and the other person will scream and yell and be a victim and blame those who threw the lemon. That's the illusion. Same experience, two different pathways, two different responses, and therefore two different destinies. So the world of illusion, as we call it, the five-sense world, is patterned on spiritual design, because the spiritual came first and then came the physical world. So then let's start going back and reminding ourselves some of the fundamentals, but perhaps in a different way that we learn Kabbalah 1. Where did nature come from? Nature itself, the Big Bang. Before the Big Bang, there was no physical world, so how could there have been a nature? So the rules of nature, right, gravity, electricity, etc., those came with the Big Bang. And as the scientists try and tell us, they are immutable, right? Gravity is gravity. Electricity is electricity. If you put a rock in the ocean, what does it do? It sinks because it's heavier than the water, right? Or the same thing. Things that are heavier than air have to be pulled down. These are the laws of nature. Yes? Now, they are exacting in their operation, are they not? If they weren't exacting, if the laws of science were not exact, what would we call it? Random and chaos. And we'd never be able to take any aspect of control of our destiny. But the fact that things are exacting in that way, so we can live with it and we can work with it. So the Kabbalists explain that. They call it judgment. Right? Don't go off in anywhere else yet. Just follow along with me. Judgment, meaning it's cause and effect. It's direct. It's almost instantaneous. But you and I also know that the original understanding of those laws have been circumvented. If you've ever flown on an airplane is a lot heavier than air. Yet, thank goodness, it has a way to stay up at 36,000 feet until we need it to land at our destination, yes? If you've ever been on a cruise or a ship, especially here in Florida, you go out on the ocean. Is a boat not heavier than water? Yes, but they found a way, if you will, to circumvent that one aspect that if it's heavier than water, it has to sink. So everyone following, so there are ways to do that. Now, in that way, sort of changing nature, if you will, the Kabbalists call mercy. Mercy. Shifting things that we perceived were fixed and set and change them. We just read yesterday, those of you who follow along with us, the aspect of water, the judgment aspect of water is if a person gets thrown in the ocean and sinks, they will drown. But Moses was able to inject mercy in the water, and as we've learned it, split the Red Sea. So he circumvented, he changed, in this case, on a very high level. Because I hear some of you say, well, you know, Chaim, the reason the airplane goes up is not so much that gravity doesn't exist, but they've learned, they discovered, after they learned gravity, they discovered the laws of aerodynamics, which are also scientific laws. But if you look at it directly, they seem to contradict each other. Heavier than air should sink, should fall, right? But in this way, they found a way to use another law to rise above. And again, the physical is patterned on the spiritual design, so then we want to look at it that way also. What's a human being? We are a mix. We are a mix. And I want to make it clear. So those of you, if you may be new, just follow along and don't jump to conclusions. We have a human nature. Human nature. Yes? And what is generally in this regard, what is our human nature? Judgment. Judgment. But we also have a divine nature. Created by the Creator. We have a soul inside of us. We have a piece of the Creator, which is merciful, which allows us to behave like the Creator, which is the ultimate of mercy. Because it's given us everything. And we'll see. So how does judgment work for us? Simple terms. When are we judgmental? Think. Should I say yesterday? Let's go back a week. Remember a time when you were judgmental recently, right? Because we don't want to admit we did that yesterday, maybe even this morning. For those of you here on your drive here, those of you who got on your computer, how many of you, the computer didn't work right away? Judge that computer. Terrible computer. What's happening? The internet and whoever you wanted to blame. Yeah, exactly. People here are going, So that's judgment. What is judgment to human nature? I see, I touch, I taste, I feel. Right away I have a decision. what it means to me, how it's going to affect me, what's going to be my future from it, etc. Instant. Whereas our divine nature, what is our divine nature? Give us time. Give us time to pause. Kabbalah 1, pause. Why is it in my movie? Meaning, give me an opportunity to see beyond my 5 senses. Give me an opportunity to see more than I'm looking at right now. Right? They said a nasty thing. And again, illusion doesn't mean they didn't say the nasty thing or they didn't do the nasty thing. The illusion is I can either operate from the human nature of immediate judgment, therefore reactive behavior, or I can pause, think, connect, and activate the divine nature in me and look at it in a different way. That's what mercy is, giving an opportunity to change our perspective and change the way we interact with that situation so our destiny changes. That's our opportunity. Now, can we do that? Because a lot of people think, you know, that person, I just have judgment, I can't overcome my judgment, it's been so long or whatever. So a very nice story we heard years ago, and we used to use in the classes, to show us how even in an instant, you and I can change from judgment to mercy. So the story goes, in New York, crowded train, right, subway. I think a few of you from New York? Yes, a few, or ever been there? Exactly. So you're on a crowded train, and here, this little kid, 4 or 5-year-old, running wildly up and down the car, just crying, screaming. So imagine, the first peruse, right? First glance, here's a kid. Why isn't the mother controlling him, making noise? I had enough tension at work. Why do I have to now be subjected to this and this and this, right? So finally, one person gets up to the mother and says, hey, why don't you control your kid? She says, what can I do? He was in the hospital. His father just died. Now, what happens to probably 90-some-odd% of those people who a minute ago were judging and having no compassion on this kid or the mother? Oof, all of a sudden, instantly, is it not? You and I instantly would probably beat ourselves up out of guilt and shame for judging this kid. But we didn't see the whole picture. Why? Because we didn't pause. We didn't give ourselves the opportunity to see things differently. And that's the point. You don't just inject mercy out of nowhere. Has to be pause and bring up more of our divine nature to overtake and transform our human nature. So, as the Kabbalists say, every challenge that comes our way, we've been learning how to deal with, how to change our judgment. Judgment to mercy, judgment to mercy, judgment to mercy. Why, most importantly? Because what do we want from the cosmos? What do we want back? We want mercy. Give us time to change. A person, the Rav used to talk about, Rav Berg, you know, the guy goes into court and the judge says, okay, boom, right? Here's 10 years or something, 10 years in jail. And when the what do they call him? The criminal or whatever, the one who's being judged, he throws himself on the mercy of the court. What does he want? A little more time to make up or a little less time in jail, right? He wants mercy. Give him, he's asking the judge to change his perspective, to see things differently. So you and I, on a daily basis, basically, we're being judged every day before we go to sleep. The universe looks down on us and sees, what did we do today? So of course, all of us, this is why we always encourage, scan your Zohar, do the connection before you go to sleep, if you have the Dialing God book, things like that, so that you're awakening mercy. And ideally, before we go to sleep, we're making an effort to go back, even on a spiritual metaphysical level, but from our divine nature, so it's true light, making a transformation, forgiving the people who may have hurt us, apologizing for the people we may have hurt during the day. So we clear ourselves before our soul goes up in the upper worlds, gets recharged. We want a full recharge, not a half recharge. So whatever we've held on to, whatever we blocked ourselves with during the day, we get a less than full charge, recharge. So we want to inject that mercy. And so most of you here, I see, and probably most of you watching, you've taken the classes before. So just for a minute, I'd like to give you a moment to think about where in your life have you used what we teach here in the center to change judgment to mercy? And whom have you changed? For whom have you changed that judgment to mercy? Just think about it. Because that opponent in your head doesn't want you to remember, doesn't want you to think about it. Yes, anybody? Or you're still judging the same way? Okay, if you're still judging the same way, think about how many, since that time that you're thinking of, how many more opportunities have you had to experience basically the same thing, and this time, instead of judgment, act with mercy? Because that is the mercy of the Creator, is to give us another chance and another chance and another chance and another chance. Yes, that's true. Each time gets a little more difficult. Each time the challenge coming our way is a little stronger, and each time we have to make a little more effort, but we're still getting another chance. Because the Zohar says, the Kabbalists teach us, that when God created the world, and we understand this sort of metaphorically, when God created the world, it was created in strict judgment. Meaning, there are writings that say, even in the beginning of this aspect of creation, 5,782 years ago, this particular cycle of creation, a person sneezed, boom, they died. That's why we say, Gesundheit, God bless you, etc. Because people used to believe, because it did happen. The moment they sneezed, the soul left, they were dead. So we're holding on to that idea to this day. Gesundheit, God bless you, whatever you say, right? Salud, right? What is salud? Somebody speak a little Spanish here? Oh, yes, health. Why do you need health? You just sneezed. You understand? It comes from that root of understanding. The beginning of this world was strict judgment. Then it says, the Creator, and remember, this is metaphorical. The Creator saw the world couldn't exist. Why? Because not everybody on earth was righteous. The strict judgment, so to speak, works for the very righteous because they're so much a channel of the light, they don't do negative actions. And therefore, they want of their good actions. They don't want it to wait. If they're meditating on somebody to be healed, they want the healing right now. If they're meditating for somebody to be prosperous, they want it right now. So in the frame of that righteous person, yes, strict judgment. But for the rest of us, I'm just trying to see anybody here thinks they're that righteous. I hear your voices, your face isn't showing it, but that's okay, right? For the rest of us, we have to have mercy. Give us some time to put our affairs in order. Give us some chance, not only to change ourselves, but also change our perspective of things. Stop. Have you never had in your life something you thought was bad happen that somewhere down the line actually turned out to be really good? Or vice versa? I remember a guy years ago when I first started teaching Kabbalah in LA, and we brought up something like this. He said, yeah, I'll tell you. He was a stockbroker. So he says one day he wrote, which he'd never had. At that point, he'd been, I don't know, 15, 20, 25 years. Never wrote a wrong order. Obviously, before all the computer stuff, right? He had to handwrite it, pass it on, whatever it was. Wrote a wrong order, made a mistake, and at first it looked terrible. He says, but within the week, it was like the best trade he had ever made, right? It just went. So the mistake became a blessing. Unfortunately, we also have seen it the other way. Sometimes we think this way is the right way, or this is the right person, the right job, the right something, and then it turns not so good. Let's put it that way. Yes? So this is what we want to give ourselves, the opportunity of transformation, the ability to change. Now, like we said, the spiritual manifests in the physical. So this is why you and I also have the human nature and the divine nature. Because there's, as we said, the human nature, the more judgmental. We fall easier to the five senses, what happens right in front of us right now. And then there's the divine nature, the one that remembers the bigger picture. So I'm going to throw something out there. If it doesn't go along with your present paradigm, at least hear it through and see how you can make use of the concept. So Kabbalistically, you and I, when we come into this world, our past life has set what you and I would call our nature. In other words, we read again, the scientists say it's the DNA. The DNA that a child is born with, that's setting their nature, what they're predisposed to. But you and I understand the bigger picture. We're learning here in the center, Kabbalah. The Zohar talks about past lives. In fact, most religions on earth at some point in their origins also, if they don't to this day, also taught reincarnation. So then you and I come into this world with a spiritual DNA, if you will, a spiritual nature, our good behavior, our bad behaviors, from our past lives. The nurture then is what? What we do with it in this lifetime. It's not just what our parents do, it's not what happens in school, etc. Those can be allowed by us to affect us, which usually means either keep the same nature, right? If a person came in with a little bit of short-temperedness, and maybe their parents, their siblings, their friends, their environment is also short-tempered. So then 40 years later, right, somebody gets in an argument or something worse, and it's based on their short-tempered. So they say, well, look, that's the way they grew up. No, that's the way they came into the world. But they did not allow themselves to rise above the environment, the natural environment they came into, where their parents, family, friends, whatever, like attracts like, also had short-temperedness, short lack of patience. Is everyone following me? So this is what you and I are learning. Why are we learning what we're learning here in the center? To be able to nurture ourselves in the light of the Creator, whether our family and friends did or did not. We've learned how to supersede it all, how to circumvent it all, because the light of the Creator trumps everything, can overcome everything. There's no part of any bad nature, any bad behavior that the light of the Creator cannot heal and transform. The issue is, how willing are we? How willing are we to do the effort, to exert ourselves to make that happen? Like anything else. Any of you ever achieved anything in life? Anything? I only see a few heads nodding. Worries me. I see more heads nodding through the computer than I see, right? We've all achieved something. Yes? Did any of those achievements come with hard work? Where you had to persevere, you had to overcome obstacles, you maybe had to limit some things, like in college, you have to limit the parties, you have to limit the football games, things like that, to study and do well in school. Any of that? Yeah, okay. So we all experience it. Why? Why have we allowed that opponent in our head, this adversary, this parasite, to make us believe, oh, spirituality is easy because it's related to God? Right? To achieve success in school, good grades, good business, good relationships, etc., that takes hard work. But to be spiritual is easy, right? All you have to do is close your eyes and meditate and commune with the universe. Hug the trees, stare at the sun at sunset, go out to the beach, roll in the park. I mean, people do these kinds of things and then they think they're spiritual. So here's what happened to me before Kabbalah. Studying different spiritualities. I think I shared this the other day in class. So, I'm learning, okay, the universe is all good, the Creator is good, all these basics. So I set up specially a meditation chair in my apartment. So every morning I get up and I'm meditating, I'm communing, and I'm feeling, we didn't call it the light then, but I'm just feeling the energy, da-da-da. And I get up, I feel so peaceful, right? I have my breakfast, I go out, I get in the car, I start driving. Apparently I forgot many times to take that peace of mind from the chair out into the street. Because the first person who crossed my path in the wrong way on the street, out came anger, judgment, right? Resentment. And of course, as the song says, I was shooting arrows with my eyes. What happened to the peace? So then you come to Kabbalah and we're saying now, no, you learn. It's work and effort. There's no easy way. Now, there's the merciful way, which means we can do it more with our own effort, preemptively, proactively, not waiting for what the world's getting out there, beat up, screamed at, lose their business, have all kinds of health issues, etc., like that. Okay, who needs from the outside to wake up what you and I are learning we have on the inside already? Just challenge yourself. Fundamentals, Kabbalah 1. What's the fundamentals? Every challenge, opportunity for me to change. Why? Because why do the challenges come my way? And please, if you have a traumatic experience and you don't have a Kabbalah teacher, at least contact 1-800-Kabbalah and see about conversing with a teacher. Because I know this is going to be difficult for some of you to take. Why do the challenges come our way? Still cause and effect. This life, past life. We may have done to somebody what they're doing back to us in this lifetime. Now, doesn't excuse them or us. But if we don't believe it and we don't operate in that system, then we are stuck in nature. Same old, over and over and over again, and we have no ability to change that nature. Like I heard Michael Berg recently say, like we just talked about, Moses came in, water should have drowned, not only the Egyptians, but the Israelites, because that's water. No, Moses, because of his awakened consciousness, was able literally to split the water. But as it says, which I heard, meaning I may have heard it before, but it didn't get inside, in 34 years, just this year. When even you and I, the Israelites, were walking through there, we had to have that connection to the energy of mercy that Moses influenced us with, step by step by step. Because every step, even though it says we walked on dry ground, but the moment we started the next step, if you will, as the foot rose to go the next step, the water was there. And we needed to have, moment by moment, that certainty of injecting mercy, shining light, forgiving people, apologizing, so that as our foot came down, if you're following with me, it was dry ground. And then the next step, and the next step. So it wasn't like we see sometimes the whole thing parted, and even we understood it just dried up like concrete when we walked through. No, it was a constant process, teaching us the same thing. Let's look back. Those times, since you're in Kabbalah, think of the greatest effort you made to turn judgment to mercy, to forgive that nasty, rotten, no good son of a gun. But you really did it. Think of that. It took effort. Is that it? Now you kick back and say, see, I have no more human nature. I'm a perfect divine being. Even though we affirm, I am a pure and perfect being of light, but I've got to live into that. So what does that mean? The next time I spiritually raise up my foot and I face that next challenge, I got to also do the same thing again. How can I finish this no good son of a gun? And how can I apologize because I was a no good son of a gun when I interacted with that person in that moment? Have to do that moment by moment by moment. The beauty is, like the Red Sea, we walked all the way through, came out on the other side. Enlightened, elevated, more joyous, more prosperous, on our way to the promised land. You and I can do the same thing. That's what we're here to do. So, somebody just told me, and that's why I wanted to share it with you, the difference, again, even in a practical way, nature and nurture. So, and I didn't get into this gentleman's past life, but it was easy in this lifetime, right? Out of nowhere, at this event yesterday, somebody comes up to me and he says, hey, I think I know you from somewhere. Okay, maybe. Not really. But there was a spiritual reason. So he comes to me and he starts telling me this story like he's pouring out his heart, basically. He was married once, got divorced, he's had relationships, but he can't seem to find the right person, the right way, this and this and this. But he was also willing to admit, because he's been learning a few years in the center, he has an issue with commitment. So of course, the first thing I start asking him, so like what about the way you grew up? Because as we just said, past life is the nature. How we enter into this world, this lifetime, gives me, and if you've studied Kabbalah, a hint of what the past was. It's not just 1%. Oh, your parents treated you this way or that way, so that, no. It's spiritual understanding of the progress or how that system works. So he tells me, no. His parents had a long marriage. Okay. I'm thinking to myself, and I'm asking my angels, so what is it? Because it doesn't sound right. There had to be something there. because he couldn't have had, that was my impression, he couldn't have had that good of an example and now have this issue with commitment, not over all these years. So then the rest of our conversation going, and then he tells me, out of left field, as they call it, I used to play left field, baseball. He says his father was physically, mentally, and emotionally abusive to him. Oh, then it struck. Then the dots fit. Why? Why couldn't he commit? Because in his mind, he had associated marriage with abuse. Because his parents had a long marriage, but his father was abusive. So they may have been okay, but he and his father weren't. And so you should have seen his face when we were discussing this, because it's like you could see in his face all the clarity came in, and he could see how, when, and why that happened. So what he and I were doing in that moment yesterday was in nurturing his soul, because that's what it's about. The nature is what we come in, how much of our light we're revealing, how much of our light is covered up. The covered up part is the part that can't commit, has judgment, anger, jealousy, fear, greed, ego, sadness, depression, etc. That's the part we have to nurture, draw the light out of it. And that's the part that we're learning here in the center. Don't wait. Don't keep waiting for that being smacked around by life to learn. Be honest with yourself, look in the mirror and say, where? In fact, let me ask you now. Close your eyes, please. Close your eyes for a moment and just think. Think as currently as possible. Where, how, what situation, with what person can you now see yourself injecting more mercy? Because you want the light and the blessing. Because what goes out from you comes back to you. And if you inject mercy, then the light will bring you more quickly your blessing. So remember, there's a reward for doing it. It's not just you're being a nice person or a spiritual person. You're truly being rewarded, elevated, raised your consciousness. And that will translate to everywhere in your life. So just see, and if you see it, if you can envision it, then envision yourself already making that effort, the pause, injecting the time for you to switch your perspective, to remember the reward that comes to you by just sending that person light from your heart and your soul, extending it out to their heart and soul. Injecting that mercy, breaking your blockages, allowing your soul to have more influence in your life. And as you're doing that, look at your face and see how it glows brighter, how it has a bigger smile, how your aura expands. And then committing yourself to follow through, to use that pattern that you just saw, that you will actually manifest it, actualize it sometime this week. And then you can open your eyes. So sort of in closing, and if you joined us late, what we'd like to do is we'll do the offering, and then I want to do a meditation to help enhance some of what you just envisioned and give us greater strength. But reminder, we are not human beings. We are divine beings in a human body is true. But how much influence that human body has on us depends on how much of our divinity we're working with. The more of that soul's energy we use, we allow to guide us, then the less influence the human body has to do negative things. We are godlike in our power because God gave us a piece of itself. So, as some people will say, we were created last, right? First, all of nature, the physical world, plants, animals, etc. We were created on the 6th day of that 7-day creation. So there are people who say, well, so we were the last, we're the best. Some people will say no, because other things were created first. In fact, in the story of the splitting the Red Sea, I won't give you all the details, you have to study that a little more, But when Moses first wanted to split the water says, hey, I was created before you, so I must be better than you. We were created last so that we could envelop the entire world. We could envelop all of the physical nature. And as they call it, have dominion. But dominion doesn't mean manipulative, selfish control over. We've seen what happens by that. Pollution in the air, pollution in the water, nuclear waste, rotting the world away, etc. No, that's not the dominion. The dominion is, as we've discussed today, that we can have control, that water will not drown people, that fire will not burn and destroy things, that the air will not create tornadoes and hurricanes, but we'll be able to inject the mercy, as Joshua did with the sun, as Moses did, as many of the great Kabbalists did, in various ways. We will be able to inject mercy, that the air will think before it has to make a hurricane or a tornado. No, I don't want to be destructive. I was not created that way. Let me calm myself down, that the fire will stop, etc. We have that ability. We were given dominion to make heaven on earth. So today, let's be aware, you and I, we have the ability of turning all the chaos, individually and collectively, the chaos of judgment into order, turning the darkness of the world into light, because light is the true reality, and all discord that we see going on into loving peace, harmony, and joy, by deciding that we are going to inject mercy into every one of our actions. We are going to pause. We're going to see the world through the eyes of God, not our physical eyes, but as it's written in the Zohar, the eyes of our heart, that true heart of love, unity, oneness, to be able to see the reality that there is nobody else out there but me. From your point of view, nobody else out there but you. And therefore, to inject mercy is to give yourself mercy, to inject love and kindness and greater compassion and joy and happiness and forgiveness and apology, is to bring back to you and bless you many, many times over. So let's decide today and commit today that we're going to be more of our divine nature. We are going to be more merciful, because our life and the world depends on it. God bless. So let's see. So what I'd like to do now, let's do our offering, and then we'll do our meditation. So I'm going to post here. For those of you online, join us for the meditation. I just put it there. Thank you. Again, we can't even maintain this building. You know, there's expenses literally just to walk in the building today, the lights, the air, et cetera, et cetera. So you're helping us, one, just to maintain, but also whatever extra you can give is helping us to grow the projects of the center. And many of you I know have contributed to the scholarship fund in the name of Karen Berg, so that people who cannot afford the classes are able to afford them and take them and change their lives. So this is why we always want to take a few moments to bless our offering. So those of you who are here, whatever it is you have, whatever gift you can offer, just hold it in your hands. Remember, number one is to keep in mind the gratitude and appreciation, because all that we have, the talent and ability that has earned us this money, comes from the Creator, and that the money is a vessel. And so we are now deciding where our energy, where the effort that we've used our light through our work, through the effort we've made to earn that money, we're determining and deciding where it's going to go. And you and I have come to understand that the highest and most powerful, effective way, spreading the Zohar, this wisdom, to reach the heart and soul of 8 billion people, awakening the light of God in them, that, as we've said today, will awaken their merciful aspect, that they will also have the strength to pause before any of their reactive behaviors. They will have the awakening from their soul, to be able to hear their soul telling them, be kind, be merciful, be loving, that we can transform the planet into the heaven on earth that it once was, called the Garden of Eden, that still is waiting for us to uncover it. And so inject your love, your light, your blessing that this gift will go through the projects of the center, allowing millions of people to learn in the classes, have the support and the understanding how to change their lives, raise their consciousness, and influence others with the same. And knowing that which we give, the priorities that we give it with, is exactly what the universe will bring back. And we all want the Creator to make us a priority. And together we say, Amen. So now, what I'd like to do, we're going to use, this is one of the 72 names. I hope most of you are familiar. Those of you who are newer, the 72 names of God are sequences of Hebrew Aramaic letters. The Kabbalists, the Keys of Enoch, the Rosicrucians, various spiritual systems say the same thing, that the Hebrew letters are the DNA of creation. They channel the light of the Creator. They are like photons of God's light. So nobody created them, nobody made them, they are what they are. And since our eyes are the window to the soul, as we just look at it, or as we often call it, scan them, it's causing an awakening inside our soul. In this case, Mem Tzadik Resh, as you can see it, it's the root of the word Mitzrayim, which is Egypt. Now, many of us have learned over, recent times, Egypt spiritually represents being squeezed, like the light being squeezed out of us. So the Kabbalists call this particular name of God freedom. What I would like us to think about, freedom from the bondage of judgment in a negative way, and the freedom and the strength to awaken those merciful actions of transformation. Free us from the illusion of and the negative influence of the five senses. That I'm not going to respond to what I taste, touch, see, feel, hear, but I'm going to pause and then raise above to my spiritual five senses and ultimately to that thing we called our sixth sense. So just looking at it, let it be engraved in your mind. Mem Tzadik Resh. Okay. And now close your eyes. If I can ask you sitting comfortably in your chair, feet flat on the floor, hands in the lap. Just taking a few deep breaths to breathe in through the nose, hold the breath for a moment as it flows from head to toe, and exhale through the mouth. Air is light, the breath of life, allowing that energy to circulate, drawing it from a higher level. Just allowing yourself to relax into the chair. Feeling yourself immersed in the infinite light of the Creator. Seeing, envisioning that light filling the world. And together we draw a beam of light from the endless world, drawing it down towards the top of our heads. And see just above our head this name of God, Mem Tzadi Resh. That beam of light is strengthening the power of the Mem Tzadik Resh that it brings to us. That as it flows through and is enhanced by Mem Tzadik Resh, it is personalized for each of us. As the light flows through that name to the top of our head, entering that opening and flowing through us head to toe, activating to a higher level the light of God inside of us. Allow yourself to feel that new awakening. Know that it is giving you strength to do the actions of freeing yourself from the bondage, the limitations of the world of the five senses, of your previous nature. Nurturing yourself and nourishing yourself with this new light, this new awareness, and this new strength. And think of that situation that you were just envisioning a few moments ago, where you could see where and how to inject mercy. Time to transform, time to change your perspective, the opportunity to see the light, and that perfect plan to help you break down your walls of negativity that have been holding you back from expressing your true godlike nature. Letting this awakening through the Mem Tzadik Resh, that's exactly in the form, in the way, in the support that each of us needs in our tikkun, our correction path. And allow yourself to envision now a beam of light, that pure light of God, beam out of your heart and soul to that situation, that person that you are thinking of. Envisioning yourself activating that energy of mercy, breaking through a wall of limitation as you shine that light out towards them, reaching into their heart and soul, awakening more of their peace of God that directs them to a higher path. And then see that beam of light extending through them, and direct it to go to the heart and soul of every human being on earth. Awakening 8 billion people. Awakening their soul, awakening their awareness. Awakening their sense of pain for their own negative behaviors. Awakening a greater desire to change, to behave more godlike. That they also feel can already perceive the reward, the benefit of their transformation. And now let us together, in our mind's eye, seeing the entire world operating with greater peace, harmony, order, joy, and love. Allow yourself to feel this new energy. Allow it to be engraved in your heart, soul, and mind, and your vision. Notice the greater power you feel, the greater serenity. Allow all of this to be anchored inside you so powerfully to always be remembered. That it becomes easier and easier to make that effort, to extend that extra light, because of the clarity you now have. And together we take one more deep breath to anchor this all in. And as you exhale, slowly opening your eyes. Okay, for those of you who are watching us online, have an amazing week. God bless. Look forward to seeing you next week. And again, please, let me know your transformations. I do not want to forget. If you're looking, especially those of you outside the area here, if you'd like to introduce your friends to Kabbalah, contact me. It is one of the programs we have to do introductory classes or things like that we can do online. Also, if you're interested, if you have dreams that you need interpreting, so contact me. It is one of the services that I'm capable to do, but it comes very naturally to me in this lifetime. So if you need something that's been disturbing you or you have those kinds of dreams, so you can contact me for that. Have an amazing week. God bless you all. God bless you. Thank you all for joining. It's nice to see you all here.
Thank you for joining us. If you liked what you saw, subscribe to this channel that you'll be notified when we post new videos. Share the video with your friends, they can also benefit. And check out the website, www.kabbalah.com, that's Kabbalah, for hundreds of articles and classes. Wish you an amazing day, and God bless.